to the data table, how we can delete the data from data table, and there are different ways to operate data table by using Power Automate Desktop. So already you are aware with the Power Automate Desktop user interface. So let me start with how we can create data table in Power Automate Desktop. So we have create data table option. Whenever you are searching data table, we are getting different options available, like create data table, insert row, find, replace, update data, delete row, and retry data table. In Uipath, you might find other lots of operations related to data table, but in Power Automate Desktop, we have limitations. We have only couple of options available over here. So whenever you have to clear data table, you have to create data table, you can use create a data table activity. But this activity is useful whenever you are starting from like scratch or something. So let me tell you how we can create a data table. So when you are dragging and dropping data table activity or create data table activity, you could see this type of screen, create new data table. So this is the output produced by taking this activity, and these are the number of columns available. So from scratch, whenever you are creating data table, there might be null columns available in your activity. You have to add number of columns, those are you expecting. So what we can do, we can just rename these two columns like a name, then or we can add first name and second name or last name, middle name or last name. Then we can, if we have to add one more field or one more column, we can use this plus symbol. So by using this plus, we can add one more column. So let's see address. Again, if you add one more column, we can use plus symbol and you can create one more as a phone number. So this is these are the steps to follow to create new data table. If you want to add by default data in this data table, you can use this plus symbol to add rows in your data table. So you can add like Peter, then John, so let's see Peter Nate, then John, Teresa. So these are the data we can add. Addresses, phone numbers, whatever we are feeling, we can add. So this is basically the structure of data table creation. So you can add number of columns that you are expecting to add and the details that you have to add. So row wise number of rows you can add, number of columns you can add, and just click on save. So as you are clicking on save, the data table variable is produced. So that data table variable you can put as a data table as a like student information, and you can get the data table ready. So this is the very basic syntax to create new data table from scratch. Now, if you wanted to add certain values in this data table, data table is ready. We have a couple of columns, and if you want to add certain values in this data table, then by using insert row, we can add the details whatever he requires. So what values you want to enter, you can just use and insert the values. So by using the insert row into data table, we can add or insert. You can put the name of the data table. Now here you have to mention the respective values of a column. So could somebody tell me what are the values we supposed to enter? Because as per the columns, we have already created data table and we should have a same number of values to be added into your data table. So who will tell me what are the values we have to add? I wanted to just have two-way communication. How many values we supposed to add? Hello. Team, are you there? I am expecting values. We have how many columns in our data table? That is already we have created?
Four.
Four. Yes. So we supposed to add four values in our data table, right? So how we can insert? Because generally when we are using the Uipath inserting column, that the syntax is very different and here is very different. And I wanted to tell you clearly what is the basic difference. So whenever you are adding certain values in data table, you have to mention the values in a square bracket and then in between percentage symbol, percentage, then curly bracket, and then square bracket. So this is the syntax that you have to use while inserting the data into the data table. This is very, very important whenever you are creating variable. So whenever you have a ready-made data available in that case, you can use just normal square bracket and the values. How many values you have to add? First name. So what first name we can put? We can put like Ayla, that is first name. Then second name, what we have to add? So last name. Last name is, let's see. Then what is third value we supposed to add? That is address, right? That is, let's see, Buffalo. And next is phone number, right? So this is the basically values we are inserting into the data table. Okay. So we have basically four columns. Guys, are you syncing with me? In our data table, we have different values, I believe. We have four columns: first name, last name, address, and phone number. It should add actually. The amount of values provided to value don't match with the column the data. Action insert row. We have 4 values and we are inserting 4. Let me add only single value and just create only one value. Why it is not taking, that is because syntax we supposed to add as per like requirement, and that is perfect. Yeah, we got value. Yes, value is added, but it is added directly as a curly bracket. So let me use percentage. Now it is working well, right? Now we can check with other columns. And we can add one more value, that is so we got 3 values in the data table. Already we in our data table we have 2 values and we have to add one more values. So what we are adding, that is a couple of 2 things. First one is the first name and second one is last name. Now we have to add the third thing, that is a, let's see, phone number or address. We can add that. I haven't changed anything, still it's working. I'm just adding one by one, but let us see. Sometimes in Power Automate, if you are restarting your Power Automate desktop, your work gets started. Okay. Information by like whatever values you have. Okay. Now in place of the variable name, sorry, in case of hard coded value, if we have to pass the dynamic value. So right now what we have passed here, what value we have passed? Team. These are static values now. Try to say something. I believe you are not active. Bhaskar, I'm doing. So I have created one data table, and in data table I have created 3 columns. We have some initial information or like basic information already we have inserted in the data table, and our task is we have to insert one by one rows or whatever values we have to insert, we can use hard coded values. So to enter hard coded value or insert hard coded values, we are using this action insert row into data table, and we are inserting the values. The syntax is a bit different. You have to enter the values by specifying comma in between two different or three different values. So I have used first value, second value, and third value, and these should be covered into square bracket and followed by percentage. So basically this percent syntax is used to pass the variable name. Okay. Now if I have to pass the different value, let's see, in place of this John hard coded values, if I have to pass the variable of that John, let me set that variable into one variable. Let's see, set variable, and in place of John I have to put that value into the variable. So first name I have to set here as a John, and let's see, John is already there. David, we have to add David. So we have to add first name as a David, and another variable I'm just taking, or first I'll just tell you how first name we can add. Now if I have to add this first name as a David, I'm not using hard coded, or I have to replace this first name Michaela by hard coded thing. How we can do that? Tim, did you understand my point? Point is I have to insert the value, insert the
In the
value.
place of Makala.
Yeah, Michaela, we have to space the value of variable. The syntax are different. That's why I'm repeating more time. If we have to replace by variable, how we can do that? So just remove the Michaela name and you have to use first name.
Variable.
Yeah, first name is the variable, but you have to remove percentage symbol because we have already used percentage. So we have to remove. This is very important. You have to take care of this removing percentage, and you can just use. Now we can run the bot and we could see what is the value we added. So what we have added in first name, David. In place of Michaela, we have added David. So whenever you are passing the variable name, just remove percentage symbol in the array. That is very important. Whenever you are using individual variable, in that case percent is very important. But when you are combining two or three conditions, there should not be number of percentage in between. There should be only one percentage in between. This is first one, this is last one. Now in place of John, let's see, we have to add some last name. So what we can do, again we can create one variable for last name. And we can just see. So last name what we can add, let's see, Dev. Now we have two variables in first name and last name. We have two variables for first name and last name, and that we have to add. So how we can do that? First name already we have passed the variable name in John, in place of John. How we can pass the variable? By just selecting last name. And whenever you are selecting last name, again you have to remove the percentage symbol. Okay. Now only one value is remaining with hard coded, that is Anderson. Let us run the bot and let's see what is happening, whether we are appropriately adding the values. Yeah, so David Dev is the value available, and Anderson we have given as a hard coded. What does the hard coded means? Hard coded means we are directly passing the value. Here we are just passing the variable name, and here we are directly passing the Anderson value. So in third row we are getting Anderson directly because as it is passing. But for first and second, the value whatever we are passing, that will be retrieved. So if we are changing any names here and there, the value should be updated in our insert in the data table. So this is very important, guys. In future you might be in confusion how to deal with the data table variable. Now if we have to update some value in the data table, now our data table is ready. This is our data table, final data table. We are getting first name, last name, address. So we have to update some value. Then in that case, how we can do that? Let's say if we are to update Peter. So to update the Peter, how we can do that? So to update any value, we have update activity in the data table. So here you have to select data table name. Then in which column we have that value? It is A, na? So row number, that is 1, and new value what you have to put, that value you can push whatever you need. So here in this case we can use Marcus. So what will happen right now, guys? After running this bot, what would be the final values? Team, I have used update data table item. So what will be happen when we are running the bot? Say something. Sorry, actually we put column name. We can directly pass the name of the column, or we can use index. So here we are getting the result, and data table variable, the results are like this. So we have updated Marcus in first. It is actually first means it comes for second row. So Marcus is updated here. Guys, are you able to see the updation? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that means whenever you have to create data table, you have to update the data table, you have to insert the data table, you can use these types of activities. Now, if you have to delete the values in the data table, if you have to delete the values, then again we have delete activity. So we can use delete row from data table. Which row you have to delete? Only that row index you can put. So right now, if you want to delete, let's say second means last row you have to delete. So last row's index is 2. So if you have to delete 2, what would be our final output? We'll get only Peter and Marcus column. Let us run. So the syntaxes are very important in Power Automate. Initially, you might be trouble, but if you are practicing more, you can understand easily. So this is the result of after deleting rows. We have deleted row index 2. Got it? So whenever you have to create data table by using the activities available in Power Automate desktop, we can use these available activities. Now, if you have to replace certain values, then how we can do that? So let us see, we have to replace some values. Let's see, Marcus we have to replace. So how we can do that? By using find and replace activity. Find or replace activity. There is one more activity which can be used for Excel filtering or finding. That is advanced. We are going to cover in next part. So here what you have to find, that is very important. Find or replace in data table. here you have to mention data table name. Then what you have to find, all matches, or you want to find only single, you can just, depends on your requirement, you can just enable or disable. What you have to find, let's see, Peter. I think Peter is not available. What is the value available? Let me check. Marcus is available, right? Marcus we have to replace. So you have to just find or replace, depends on your action, you can just select. So if you want to just find that Marcus value, you will get the match of that value. So if you are getting Marcus, you will get that data table match. So if you want to replace that with another values, you can use find and replace. So if you want to replace Marcus by Stan, we can use text replace with the Stan. And you will get the output as a data table matches. So let us run and let's see what happens. So in matches, data table matches, you could see we got the details as a row is 1 and column is 0. So for first row, we got the matches. So total matches index we got. If you need like a match case only, and you need the index of that, then you can use if you replace Marcus by what you have to replace, another value. Let's see. So on which column you have to make visible that, so you can put the mention column name. Let's see 0. You can use regular expressions also. If you are using regular expression, then for regular expression you have to check the conditions, what conditions are suitable, and that can be used. So these are different options available over here, you can use. Yesterday we have seen some of the examples for find and replace. Okay, so any doubts till like this basic operations of data table? Because if you are understanding these data table operations, then we can think about advanced concept of this data table, how we can create dynamic data table.
Hello.
Yes.
So I have one doubt regarding
Yes.
of the insert row into the data table and the set variable. So I wanted to set the dynamic values up to, for example, 10 values, 10 rows,
Okay.
10 rows or multiple values, for example.
Yeah.
So is that necessary to every variable has to take the set variable? Every cell values or whatever the changes we have to take, or
Okay.
how it is possible to change of multiple values?
So if you have to add, let's say you have some dynamic values. Let's say you are taking values from Excel file, right?
Yes.
So in that case, what you have to do, you have to read that Excel file, and that we can use, let's see, for each row, and we can add insert row one by one. Each values column can be assigned to one. Let's see. Let me take that example, and I'll just tell you. So that is actually next part, but let me start from here. No worries. So we have to enter different values, those are available in Excel file. Let
No,
me.
if it is next part, no problem actually. So it is necessary requirement or not? That's it. My point only. So
That is not mandatory. We can directly pass the values in here. Let's see, in place of first name, we can pass the current item of that for each row. So we'll directly insert it into that data table. No need to like declare specific variable, but for simplicity, we are declaring that variable.
oh, okay.
You can directly pass the variable value over here.
Okay, fine. Okay.
We
I
are
think
going.
data table is a temporary data table. So
Yeah,
that's why. So whenever
yeah, it's
we wanted to
temporary.
update on the Excel file, that is a different part, I think. Is it?
That we are going to cover. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. I understood. Correct. Fine.
That is next part actually. I'm going to
Yes.
cover.
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
So basically, whenever you have to create data table and do lots of operations, we can have ready-made activity. But in certain cases, we have to create data table manually, directly, without like using the activity. We have to create data table. Got it? My point. What is
Yes, sir.
requirement?
Yeah, I understood.
So in that case, we have to create data table. The syntax for creating any data table is set variable. And I'll just check with another workflow. Creating data table. So as you know, in your Power Automate, we don't have direct method to create different type of data table in variable panel. We have to use set variable and then we can create variable as per our requirement. Now let's see, I'm just creating data table type of variable. For integer and string, that is easy. We can easily understand. For data table, it's a bit different. So that I'm just telling you how we can do that. So data table, let's see, DT1. I'm just telling simple example. DT1 is the data table I have to create. So how we can create the syntax, or what is the syntax to create this data table? Okay, that I am going to see and show you how we can do and how we can use that. Now, for creating data table, we have a fixed syntax as a percent square bracket, sorry, curly bracket, and that square bracket. This is the very important syntax, guys. This you have to remember. So whenever you are creating data table, you have to use this syntax. And in between these square brackets, you have to pass the values. Sometimes in Power Automate, you don't have columns, because whenever you are using SQL operations, you are getting only data table contents, not headers. So in that case, this method is very important to add the column headers. So let us see, we have to create one data table. How we can create data table? By using the syntax double percentage in that curly brackets and in that square bracket. Now here you can add certain values of your data table. Here you can put the headers of your data table. How many values you want to add? So in single quote, you can put name, then comma, again single quote, and in third again single quote, address. Okay, so this is the syntax to create data table in Power Automate. I'm going very minor steps because these steps you might face in future. You are not able to understand. And if you want to see how this data table is looking like, you can use display. So these are the three values we have added, and this is the data table actually. Now here also we can use insert data table activity. So by using insert row into data table, we can add the contents to our original data table. Data table name is DT1. I'm just telling you different methods to add the values or insert the values, or using how we can betterly utilize data table actions available in Power Automate. So end of data table, same syntax you have to use.
Percentage.
Percentage, then curly braces, then square braces, and the values. There is some insert symbol. Click it from my side. Guys, if you're practicing simultaneously, it would be good. So first name is Bhaskar. Second one is, add location is, sorry, city is the
Hyderabad.
Bangalore, okay, Hyderabad. Then address we can put MG Road. Okay, so these are the values we have to insert in our data table DT1. I'll just move that display at down. Any syntax change here? Percentage, then curly bracket, that is correct. MG Road, that is also correct. We have three values, right? The amount of values provided, we got actually sometimes, last time also actually we found the same error. This should not happen actually. Now we can add other values. It is working actually. I believe something is happening there. Maybe spaces are adding, but we can do in this way. Understood? How we can create data table by using variable, how we can create data table by using the available activities. Got it? Now, if you want to write this,
please repeat again.
Okay, so whenever we are creating data table, we can use by the syntax %%, then curly brackets and square bracket in between the value of the number of column names. So here we are using two different columns, name and city. So we can add the city over here. Let us see. The value is right. It is not taking. Actually, sometimes it's taking, sometimes not taking. I need to restart this. Syntax is appropriate. No worries about this. one don't match with the columns of the data. We have two values and two columns. That is absolutely right. Let me change if other things are working. Sometimes I have to restart the system actually if it's not responding some syntaxes. I'll just restart. Okay, we'll check, otherwise we'll restart because syntax is the same. Let me copy this. Something I believe changed. So let me change the values here. What are the values? Bhaskar, have to add then Hyderabad. And variable name is different. What is variable name? Variable name is dt1. Now it should work. So we got the result as name, location, and address. Bhaskar, Hyderabad, and M0. Got it? Bhaskar, did you clear your doubt?
Yes, yes, it's fine.
Okay.
Understood.
So whatever we are creating the variable, that should be in the proper syntax. If something is missing, then there should be some issues with your flow. So that should be clearly defined. Then for insert also you have to mention clearly the syntax in between 2%. You have to add the values, and then for declaration of the
No, please
table,
open the insert row data table.
which one?
Insert row data table activity. Please open it. That is the syntax.
It's
Brackets not.
percent curly brackets is not available for insert row. Declaring is available. For declaration you need percent and curly bracket. For adding the values you no need to add that curly braces.
Okay, okay, fine.
That is basic difference. Here you could see, here we have curly brackets to declare the data table, and to insert the data table no need to use that curly bracket.
Okay, if you have any doubt, I will communicate with you. No problem.
Yeah. Now, if we have to read this, so write this data table into the Excel file, how we can do that? This data table we have to write in Excel. Any comments how we can write?
Right.
We have to write that in Excel file. Are you doing simultaneously, team? Are you practicing from your side also?
I'll try after.
Yeah, but afterwards, if you are getting doubts, then that would be a bit difficult. But no worries, we can catch up. If you have any issues, you can just reach out to us.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Sir, can
Any
you explain update data table?
update data table, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So in update data table, whatever the
Also,
values.
why we are using update data table?
Okay, okay, fine. So let us see, we have certain values in Excel file or some, let's say we are getting some results from the screen and we are having certain values as a, let me show you one example. So this is the one of the Excel file that is available with me, and let us see, we are getting this file from SAP, and the requirement is our, the vendors are changed from certain names. For example, Ramesh is the right now vendor and Ramesh's name is changed. So what is has been changed to, Ramesh is changed to the, let's see, John. So in that case, this update data table item activity is important. We have to update this Ramesh with John. Got it? So whenever there are certain requirements from the business to replace certain thing or update certain things, certain name, certain email IDs, certain contact details, in that case we can use update data table item. Okay, that is the requirement. In one of the use case, I'll show you how it is working, how data table activities are working. I'm going to showcase one of the use case that I'm just thinking to show you. We'll discuss that, but first we'll complete this, how we can write in Excel file. So I'm just asking you, Taranum, do you have any other questions? In update data table we are not
No.
doing anything. In update data table we are just using column name or column index. We have column index as a 0. So what does that 0 means? 0 means this column. So what you have to use, that if you want to update in last name, what would be the index of that column?
1.
1.
Last
So
name
like,
1. Huh.
yes, yeah, likewise we have to check the index, and then row 1 means if you are using 1, that means this one. 0 means this one. So we are starting from this 0 position, 1, second, third, like that we are using the column index and row index. And what value you have to replace, that you can just mention.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Now what is our next step? We have to write this data. What is the data available? We have these 2 columns, 3 columns and 2 rows. So these data we have to write. How we can write these details in a data table? So by using read or write, what we can use?
Right.
Yes, we can use write to Excel worksheet. We can use write to Excel worksheet. Now we have already data table ready. So by using write, but can we use directly write to Excel worksheet? Can we use? Can we use? We'll just write DT1 only. First data table write. Can we use directly write Excel in Power Automate? No.
No, we first of all we have to launch the Excel.
Yeah. So we have to use launch Excel activity, and here you can give the path or you can use the blank document. So here we are using with a blank document, and here Excel instance you have to rename, because to understand better way you can just rename this Excel instance as a Excel instance. You can just rename as a Excel instance. So what is the Excel instance for? You can specify the details, data table that you want to write. Okay, Now our Excel file is ready. Right now we can write to Excel worksheet. What value we have to write? What value we have to write? DT1 na? On specified cell, we can get started. We have different options like on currently active or named cell. We can get started on a specified cell column. We can start with 0, row with 0, and we can just use save. Let us see. So what we have got here, we got name, location, address written in Excel file. Got it? How we can write the data table in Excel file. Simple steps we have used. Now last thing is you have to save Excel file. Whenever you are writing something, that should be saved. So to save, we can use normal save Excel. We are going very basically. Let me close Excel files. So we haven't given the path, but it would be automatically saved to book one. Any questions of reading data table and writing into the Excel?
No.
Okay. Now if we have to update any files in Excel directly, if we have to add the files in Excel directly, how we can do it? Columns are ready. Now we have to add some values in Excel file. Same thing, how we have inserted, we can same method use to write other values. Right now we got two things. First one is we are creating data table and writing that into Excel. So here we are getting column details. Now if we have to add the values of these columns, how we can do that? By using again set variable. We can create some values, data values, and how we can assign the values here.
Percentage.
Percentage. We have three values: name, then city, address, what happened here? Double one quote extra is added. So now our set variable is available. How we can write that in a Excel file? How we can write? I'm just asking you because these questions will get you idea how you can work in real-time scenario. Did you get my question? My question is, we have one data table, we have written that in Excel file, but in Excel file we have first row or first headers are ready. We have to insert the data after that headers. Let me specify the path. I think that path is blank so that you are not able to understand. Let me give the path name. Let me create one file and I'll just give the path name. So this is the test file we have received. We can save and lastly conclude. Did you get my question? Let me tell you once again. So we have created one data table or declared one data table. There are 3 columns available: name, location and address, and we have written that data table into this Excel file, and that Excel file is this one. Okay, now my question is, I have to add values to this data table or this Excel file. So to add the values of this Excel file, how we can add the values? So I have created one variable, that is dt values. So this variable I have created. Now I have to write these values to this Excel file. Got it, my point?
So take insert row data table.
Okay. By insert row data table, what will happen? We'll get one data table. We'll get one data table values that would be inserted to that data table. And again, we have to write that into the Excel. Got it? Your approach is absolutely right. Thank you, Abhaskar. You are absolutely right to take one insert data table activity, and by using insert data table, we'll add that in our data table, and finally we can write that in a Excel file. But what will happen? What will happen if we are taking insert row data table activity? The original data table and these two data table will be combined, and again we can write. That is one approach. But if we have to directly write that in Excel without using insert row data table, how we can do that? We have this first row as a header. We got headers. We have to add values. We can use insert row data table. That operation also we can do, but we don't want use insert row data table. We have to directly write here.
Please pass the dynamic variable.
Yeah, we can pass that we are going to see. But here in this scenario, how we can do that? In Excel operations, you might have seen this approach. How to add the values in Excel or write the values in Excel. Let me tell you, don't worry. Let me tell you. Now, in this scenario, first we have to check in Excel file which is free row in this Excel file. So first it will go, control will go here. This row is free or not? No. Then it will go here and then it will start writing here. So to find out which row is free, how we can find that? Activity available to get free row available. Any idea? Taranum, Pradeep, Dattatri, do you have any idea about which activity is used to find out free row in Excel file?
Get first free row something activities over there.
Yes, 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 that is absolutely right. We have a get first free row. So this is the activity which is used to find out which is a free row in the Excel file. So we have to just pass out Excel instance and column. So you can just pass the column name, any column name you can just pass. Initial column also you can give, and then output produced is the first free row on column. That is the output. So first free row on a column, that is the numeric value, will get the index of that free column. So this column or this activity gives you the free row available. Okay, getting? Have you used this activity previously? Anybody? You should have used actually in Excel operation or not used. Excel is open. Have you used or not? My appeal to all of you is you should cover the sessions daily. If you are getting time, you should utilize those time to following the sessions. So in first free row we are getting the index as a 2. Guys, why I'm doing all these things you should understand. The main purpose of this is we have to write the values after the header. Most of times in scenario there are different challenges, like you have data table, you don't have columns, so how to add columns? So that is one of the challenge that you might find, and some of the time you have to write the values but you don't know where the data exactly stops or ends. So in that case you can use this get free row on column from Excel worksheet, which gives you which is the first free available. So here we got 2 as index. From here you can write. Now we have variable which is having all the values that we can write. So here we can use write Excel to worksheet. So here we can use this activity. What is value? We have created one variable dt values, and in which column you have to use a, and here you can pass the variable name as a first free row on column. So that is 2. And same we can use at last. So I believe we got all values are added into this second, third, fourth row like that. So why it is added like that? Because we have taken those values as a text. So these text values are added into one column only. We got the second free row, right? In Excel file we got second row as a free, and here we supposed to add the values like Pradeep. The location should be added as a Solapur, and value should be as a yes is the road. But we got all these value because what is the reason? What is the reason, guys? Let me tell you. Whenever you are creating the variable, that should be always checked. So how it is getting? List of say something.
Text values.
Yeah, list of text values, and we supposed to have some data rows. So text values we can't add in a specific row wise. We are having text values to be write in a one cell only. It should not write in a different cells. So if we want to have this in a separate sheet, we have to create like different variables, different values. We can pass dynamic values. Okay, got it? I hope.
Repeat
You
once,
understand.
please.
Okay, so now the thing is we have to write the values in a just few seconds. So we have to just use available values to write in an Excel file.
Yes, correct.
Now we have columns, that is A, which is ready. Headers are ready. We have to update the next values. So for second row, we have to update the values as per new variable. So new variable we have text data table values. So that data table value is just text. If we have to use row values, then in that case we have to use data table type of values. Right now we have used as text, so we can use that as a, because list you could see here we are getting as a list, and list we can't use as a data table. So I'm just clearing you one by one points, why that is not happening, why that is working. So these are the points I have to tell you one by one. So can we take like 5 or 10 minutes break then, because we have to extend the session, and we can have some tea or coffee meanwhile.
Sure.
So we'll take like 10-5 minutes